Kyle Deschanel, The Rothschild Who Wasn't, Part 6. Stampede had begun its relationship with Oxshott more conventionally, according to documents and sources. The company had first enlisted advisor EMP Media Partners to work on a $120 million round of fundraising. Stampede entered an advisory agreement authorizing Oxshott to find equity in a proposed film financing vehicle. One of Deschanel's colleagues was charged with sending out the deck asking for $120 million in fundraising, with the minimum ask coming in at $5 million. Deschanel then started sending out a Stampede deck from his Oxshott email address, claiming he was a managing director of a family office. He also threw around some serious numbers and intimated that Oxshott itself had invested. In an email to one potential partner, Deschanel claimed that approximately $90 million of the Class A equity is currently committed from among Oxshott Family Office, Stampede Studios, Asia-based private investors, and a Taiwan sovereign fund. Oxshott is not an investor in Stampede, nor has Oxshott or Kyle Deschanel raised any equity for Stampede, a spokesperson said in a statement. The company does not work with either Oxshott or Kyle Deschanel, and it will not be doing so in the future. Stern said that he had cut all ties with Deschanel as of this June. The Oxshott rep said that the company did not have a formal arrangement with Deschanel, referring to him as a 1099 contractor. He was paid, Stern's spokesman said, if there was a reason to, such as success on a deal and a regular schedule. This information was shared with Vinu Varghese, a trial lawyer who specialises in fraud and white-collar crime, and he saw a pattern consistent with cases that he's prosecuted. You have both wire fraud and securities fraud charges, he said of a potential case. This is serious stuff. Deschanel flagrantly engaging in criminality, demonstrating an entitlement to do so without due regard for the consequences. Jerry Williams, a retired FBI agent who specialised in investigating economic corruption, said the key to proving a deal is a crime rather than just a bad investment, is establishing that the deal was based on something that was a lie or deception. You go to the companies and say, did you authorise this man, whatever his name is, to sell these investment packages or whatever he's selling, she said. And if they say, no, we don't know who he is, he wasn't authorised, he didn't have that authority to do so, then that's a pretty good straight-up fraud. Naturally, with Deschanel behaving that way, it shows his entitlement to believe that he could do this, that he believed that he had such authority and didn't care that he had not. Bijou's potential SPAC was eventually scuttled. The company, once valued at $22 billion, is now reportedly worth a little more than $5 billion. The representative for Oxshott said it had no affiliation with DRD Holdings and declined to comment on the Bijou's deal. In May, Deschanel was set to co-host a black tie benefit at Carnegie Hall for the American Friends of the London Philharmonic Orchestra. Ahead of the bash, Deschanel solicited charitable donations for tickets, but no mention of the gala appeared on the AFLPO website. A rep from AFLPO confirmed that Deschanel was on the board, but did not respond to subsequent outreach. Leading up to February the 15th, Deschanel circulated a flyer for a fundraiser he was hosting with Emilia Clarke to raise money for Same You, which he founded with her mother after suffering 2 brain hemorrhages while shooting Game of Thrones. It's a cause that has both personal meaning to me as well as it being an underserved area of the medical community, Deschanel wrote to one friend. I would ask your forgiveness for imposing on you to share it with anyone you may feel interested in participating in this cause or even becoming a trustee or board member. He sent a link soliciting 4-figure donations. Genevieve, one of the women who briefly hooked up with Deschanel, said that he claimed he made $35,000 from the event, piggybacking off charities. A spokesperson for the charity said that Emilia's mother, Jenny Clarke, began emailing with Deschanel in January, operating under the assumption that he was a philanthropist who wanted to help Same You due to his personal experience of stroke. Deschanel proposed a pilot fundraiser that would bring high-net-worth individuals into the orbit of the charity, as well as a search for new members of the Board of Trustees in the United States. He also pledged to raise funds at the event. I think we're familiar with a certain actress who liked to pledge funds as well, and a QR code connected potential donors to a portal on the Same You website where certain dollar amounts could be put forward towards the effort. He told multiple people that Emilia Clarke would be there. "Open your wallet for the mother of dragons," he texted, orders the model. She did not attend. The charity did not receive any charitable donations from Deschanel at the event or subsequently, the spokesperson wrote. Thus, similar to Amber Heard, he made pledges but didn't fulfill them. At the event, the charity received direct donations from attendees of $6,735.43. Deschanel told Jenny Clark he secured additional pledges from other attendees amounting to $18,000 and that he would match funding anything we received. These donations were never received. Future faking. Furthermore, it would appear that he stole other donations. After months, Tiny said, of picking up the check for meals and charging Ubers to her credit card, sense of entitlement, allowing others to pay, chasing Deschanel down for Venmos and watching him pretend Venmo was down or paying off his housekeeper, she had had enough. In April, she started sharing the global entry card with the name Ari Dodelson on it with some of the mutual friends, the people who had been part of a group chat, Are We the Drama, she had with Deschanel and others. I wasn't mad until the credit card thing happened where I was like, you're not a good person. You're not someone that's running from religion. You're not someone that's just insecure. You're not someone that's just New York sketchy. You would do this to your best friend and lie to her again, Tiny said. Deschanel became less present at all the normal spots. Withdrawal, nullification of potential threats to control, and vanished for extended periods of time. He complained to one friend that none of his nightlife friends texted him after he said he would be in London for a week. Pity play. I felt so used and stupid, like if I'm not in town and my house isn't available, like no one cares about me, he wrote. Complete lack of awareness, of course, as to how his behaviour has generated that. He also hinted at a more permanent change of scenery. I think I need to leave New York. It's not good for me. I haven't done drugs or drank in a month, and I haven't come in a month, he texted one source. I feel refreshed-ish, and I can't do that in New York. I want to settle down, I think, and my friends are bad for me. Blame-shifting, smearing. Eva Evans was inspired to share her story on TikTok, where she has nearly 300,000 followers. The June post racked up thousands of likes and comments from dozens of New Yorkers who said they'd cross paths with Deschanel. Soon, other former friends of Deschanel's started making their own TikToks, and the online attention was enough to inspire a story on the Daily Beast about the videos. Evans received a raft of DMs from Deschanel and Dodelson acquaintances. I knew he was full of shit for the longest time, read a representative sample. When Evans posted the videos, no one had seen Deschanel for a month or more. Then someone claiming to be him texted her from a number she didn't recognise. I'm begging you, delete the stories and TikToks, please, the person wrote. I know I don't deserve mercy, but for the sake of my wife and kid and family, they haven't done anything wrong. I swear I won't be engaging in this kind of behaviour, and if you ever catch that I am, then feel free to do whatever you want to me. But please, please, give my kid a chance and don't publicly shame me and him. Pity play. False compassion for family. Evans deleted the post, but mostly, she said, because she was overwhelmed by the volume of the response. In late July, a source claimed that Ari and his mother, Saki, had retained the services of a company called Clean Your Name, which promises that it will remove your unwanted negative reviews or profiles from Google. Nullification of threat to control across the internet. In early August, a number of TikTok users who had posted about Kyle Deschanel and Ari Dodelson saw that their posts had been taken down due to copyright violations. The claimant in each instance was listed as Viacom CBS Inc. When reached for comment, a source at Paramount, which has not gone by the name of Viacom CBS since February 2022, confirmed that the claims were a fraudulent use of our name. A few days later, the TikTok post had been restored to the social network. In July, a series of new websites started popping up devoted to an Ari Dodelson, who was, they said, a working abstract artist in New York. Ari Dodelson, an esteemed abstract painter hailing from the vibrant city of New York, has firmly established himself as a prominent figure in the contemporary art scene, reads the bio in a Vimeo account that was uploaded in mid-July. With the birth year of 1970, Dodelson enthralls audiences with his unique artistic style and mesmerising compositions. There is a website, a Twitter page, a YouTube, a Facebook and Instagram, all devoted to a painter named Ari Dodalson, all appearing in July. Reverse image searches of the works allegedly made by the 53-year-old painter show that they are largely the top Google images for abstract art. It would appear that notwithstanding his protestations that he wouldn't do it again, he's doing it again. The reporter called nearly a dozen different numbers for Deschanel and Dodalson that were provided by sources. Nearly all of them were disconnected. Emails were sent to 4 different addresses for Kyle Deschanel. The journalist called at Ari Dodalson's home, called Saki Dodalson's home, and reached out to a number of attorneys who had represented Saki in a legal dispute. Eventually, the journalist spoke to a Lakewood resident who was acting as the Dodalson's PR representative. Your information was passed on to the family, he told the journalist. It's at their discretion if they wish to contact you. They did not. Nullification of threat to control by remaining in position of withdrawal. After Evan's TikTok started getting out, Deschanel made his Instagram private, nullification of threat to control, and changed its handle slightly to @DegenerateSnoopy, but still watched his former friend's stories. Then he changed it again. His new handle was @Kyle's real name is Ari. Then he changed it to @GeorgeWorthingerer. I don't know if he really feels empathy or feels hurt for people when he does hurt people, SoCat said. Well, it is evident from his conduct and behaviour that as a narcissist, he certainly does not. Deschanel's sense of grandeur around his relationships with women alarmed a number of his close friends. He was addicted to going out, being cool, being loved by people, having semi-hot girls think he was the ultimate playboy. In actual fact, he was addicted to being able to control people through that image and drawing fuel from the responses. The film producer recalled a recent night out when Deschanel had turned somewhat philosophical. He was like, you have to take what you want in life, you can't ask. A source within the Orthodox community told me about something of a pattern among some of its most ardent religious scholars who devote their lives to study and need ways to blow off steam. A very small percentage, maybe 1% this source estimated, go on tropical vacations alone or jaunts through Europe or might even take a few forays into Manhattan nightlife. There are many Ari Dodalsons who are not Ari Dodalson, Henry said. Well, indeed, but there's a world apart from blowing off steam and engaging in the fraudulent behaviours that Dodalson did, which are driven by his narcissism. The question remains as to where Dodalson is at the moment. Several screenshots of a text thread shared suggest that as recently as May and June he'd been in Manhattan. Stern said he's currently in the process of figuring out how much non-Oxshot related expenses Dodalson put on the company card before he was cut off. One Lakewood source said that the community was stunned recently to see Dodalson with his mother and his father at a synagogue, even more so because Dodalson's wife had divorced her husband in a Jewish court and moved out of their home with their son in late June. Undoubtedly a collateral consequence of the exposure of his behaviour. In August, Rabbi Popko wrote a blog post for the Times of Israel highlighting the hypocrisy he saw in the Lakewood community for punishing students for small-time sins against orthodoxy, offences including saying hello to a girl in the pizza shop, having a smartphone and asking for their college transcript so they can apply to college after school, while embracing Kyle, whom he wrote he knew. One place that Dodalson is certainly not hiding out is at 514 Broome Street in Soho. It's now back on the market, and once again being brokered by Alyssa Brody. On a recent visit, the broker on the duty unlocked the door and inside was the expansive dining room and open kitchen that went back 50 feet north of Broome Street, and the original wooden beams and old-school fireplace kept the vibe patrician even as the Ralph Lauren and Marc Jacobs billboards screamed out the window. Only one small piece of Kyle Deschanel's white-hot ambition remained, a placard asking visitors to donate to Same You. It was still available to rent in mid-August or buy at $6.75 million. As the Street Easy listing says, this home would be a dream to live in NYC. The narcissist Kyle Deschanel, where the journalist hasn't picked up on this, but there are so many indicators of his narcissism, and it shows that after being exposed, he retreated back to where he came from, and has since been protected by those who probably don't know what he is, but feel a sense of obligation to protect him against the outside world, and thus he remains able to nullify those threats to control. An interesting story of a narcissist that came from a completely different background and then put on various masks, conning people in terms of intimate relationships, friendships, conning people financially, and also within the world of business. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.